we're away.
Okay, so there we go, I think. Okay, I think we might be
Yeah,
okay.
we are. We're good.
Okay.
Finally. Better late
Oh,
than never.
sorry
It's a Monday, man.
for the technical delays. This is my first time doing anything tech related for these streams, um so everything's probably going to go wrong and my laptop's probably going
You
to
know,
set on fire and all of that. So yeah,
it's fine.
we'll see what happens.
Everyone
So
loves a bit of fire.
what was that?
Everyone loves a bit of fire. It's fine.
Oh yeah, definitely. So how are you this morning, Hatham?
Very well, thanks. Like I say, it's Monday. Things are about to go wrong, so
It's
just deal with it. It's fine. How are you?
I'm all right.
All right, Lee.
It's Star Wars Day today.
So it is. Yeah. May the
May the
fourth
fourth
be
be
with
with
you.
you.
Jeez. I seen it. I'm just quickly, guys. Just I might look distracted. But I am just sorting out the links and stuff for the resources and the survey. So just bear with us.
Thank you.
I don't think we actually have a survey set up for this. So I'm
Oh,
just going to quickly. I'll do it now.
thank you.
The resources are in there. So in the description,
Yeah.
there should be a what did I label it? It's just a resources link, and it's a link to the Google Drive, but you should be able to download it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi guys. So we've got Charlotte, Gary, Linda's in here, Lisa's here, and yeah, morning
Hi
everyone.
everyone.
So Ella's going to be doing the bulk of the teaching today, and I'm just here in a support role. I'm here in the background, in the shadows, to make sure everything goes all right.
Yeah. I feel like it's reassuring us a lot knowing that there's somebody there to kind of rescue things if it all goes really bad. But
We'll
yeah,
stick
so
to if for now because I think we'll be all right. It's so we're intro to digital imaging today, yeah.
Yes, we are.
Go on then, Ella. What does that entail?
So this morning we are going to be doing a pop art portrait. So we're going to take an image of somebody and we're going to turn it into something that looks a bit like those super famous Andy Warhol portraits. You've probably seen the ones of like Marilyn Monroe and Mick Jagger and stuff. So we're going to do that, and then if we've got some time after that, I'm going to show you some kind of universal image editing techniques that should work on pretty much any image to kind of just sort of enhance it a little bit. So first things first, you should have all the resources that we're going to need in the description, but if you would please fill out the survey. Just
Yeah, I'm just 2 seconds.
yeah, when when it's there, just
it's there now.
yeah, because we will need you to fill out an enrollment form for this session. It's really short. It's nothing scary. And we can just email that to you. So just let us know what your email address is, and we'll get that to you.
Yeah, and probably the easiest way to do it is fill in the survey.
Yeah.
Kill the two birds with the one stone and that.
Yep, definitely. Okay.
So,
have I covered everything?
I believe so.
Okay.
We'll circle back if not at some point.
Okay. So what we're going to do is if you've got your resources downloaded, you should be ready to go. And the first one that we're going to use is called.
Do you want to maybe just quickly show them the resource folder and how to download it?
Okay, so I've kind of already got this open on another window, but should I do it from?
Just do it in that Chrome because you've got your window capture on Photopea, haven't you? So just open a new tab on that, and you should just be able to go to that.
To the YouTube, right?
But yeah, you can go. Like, you can either go to the YouTube or you can go to the link because I can send you the link on the link's on Zoom, isn't it? You sent it to me.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I'll just paste the link in. Do excuse all of the technical issues. Sorry.
So you guys, if you go to the description of the video, there'll be a bitmark resources, and then there'll be a link to a Google Drive folder. So to get to where Ella's going to go to, you just click on that, it'll take you to the same place.
So I've just pasted the link. and should be in the folder now. So you can download the whole thing by clicking on the name of it there and then clicking download, and you should get like a zip file or whatever, and that should just appear probably by default in your downloads folder. So you might need to go and unzip it. So you can't actually see mine down here, but on Chrome automatically it kind of appears at the bottom as like a zip file, or you can go to wherever your files are stored. So if you're on a Windows computer like me, which I am feeling a bit lost, I normally use a Mac, so I'm just going to go to where my files are, and it should just be in your download, so you can just double click it, but they should all be there anyway. So however you get your files, just make sure you've got that zip file open, and then we can go to Photopea and we can open them from there. If I'm not being very clear, just let us know in the chat and we'll go back. So we're gonna go.
I'll keep an eye on. So Ella will probably be doing our thing, showing you guys how to do the stuff in Photopea. If he's struggling, just let me know, because I've got the chat open on the screen. So just give me a shout if you're struggling with anything, if you can't hear anything, if the video's lagging or whatever.
Yeah, just let us know. Okay, so we're gonna go File and then Open, and you should have your files somewhere. Mine are already there, and we're gonna open the image called Pop Art Portrait.
I'm just gonna go and see what's going, because I can hear something kicking up, like there's some drilling going on outside. 2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so you should hopefully all have this image. This is a picture of Hedy Lamarr, once thought to be the most beautiful woman in the world, and we're gonna turn her into, like I was saying before, an Andy Warhol style pop art portrait. So the first thing that we need to do, well, first things first, we can do this, you know, if you're following along, you might have this exact image, but this should work for pretty much any kind of photo that you have of somebody. So if you want to do this as a picture of one of your family members or friends or somebody that you really like, that's fine. Just make sure you've got a sort of decent sized image, and that you want mainly their head and shoulders in the image. So, and if it's a coloured image, you might want to desaturate it or make it black and white. So you can do that by pressing, I believe it's, let's just check. So an image adjustments and then desaturate, which is Control Shift and U. I'm definitely not up on all of the shortcuts on Windows. So if you've got a coloured image, you want to make it black and white, but we've got a black and white one already, so we don't need to do that step. So next things that we would do, so this is the first step on our image because we're already kind of one ahead. If you've got a already black and white image, we're gonna remove the background. By the way.
Sorry.
Hello. So we're gonna remove the background, and we're gonna do that using a layer mask. So you can select however you want, but I'm gonna do this using the polygonal lasso tool, everybody's favorite. But if you're happy using a different kind of tool, or if you've got an image that would suit, I don't know, the wand or something better, that's fine. Or if you're super fancy and you like using the pen tool, that's also fine. The important thing is just that, yeah, you know, I don't know who likes using the pen tool really, but
I think Lisa strikes me as the type of person who likes to use the pen tool.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think when you like the pen tool, when you know the pen tool, when you are one with the pen tool is everything. But we're just going to use the polygon for now.
Do it. This is, imagine this is the intro one.
Yeah.
You can try the pen tool later. You'll be fine.
Okay, so we're just gonna So the way that this works, if you've never used the polygonal lasso tool before, is every time you click, it makes a point. So I don't know if you can see, there's a kind of, I've clicked once, so there's kind of like a line following my mouse now, on my cursor. That's where your points are going to go. So the polygonal lasso tool only works in straight lines. So you know, if I want to go around that curve, I've got to click a few times, but be really careful that you don't double click straight away because that will close the selection. So we're going to take this quite slow and we're just going to click around all of the points. Don't worry if it's not super neat. It kind of adds to the effect when it's a little bit choppy. And if you don't get it right first time, or if you've got bits in your selection that you actually think, I don't want that, or the other way around, if you feel like you've missed something important, that's fine. We can go back and get those later when we refine it with our mask. So just take your time, there's no rush, and yeah, don't worry if it's a little bit choppy.
Did you know that Hedy Lamarr co-invented spread spectrum frequency that is in part used today in Bluetooth technology? Exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
I did not know that, but I did know that she had something to do with
science and stuff.
Yeah, but she was also an actress. Very, very talented lady. But I didn't know specifically what she'd made.
Please. Charlotte says, about the pen tool in Photopea, I have noticed that it works very similar to that Illustrator than it does in Photoshop, as it does strokes and fills.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
I assume that means something to you because it means nothing to me.
It does mean something to me.
Yeah.
But I probably won't go into detail about that now. But that is good to know. So if you know what that means, that is good to know.
If you don't, like me, just whoosh, let it go straight over your head.
Yeah, I've never used the pen tool in Photopea. This is some of my first adventures in Photopea. So
it's a brave new world.
It is. It's like double whammy for me doing this on a Windows PC as well.
One small step for digital imaging, one giant leap for Ella Clasper.
Absolutely. Don't know where I am.
Also, we're getting a kitchen fitted, so if you can hear loads of like grinding and like chains dragging and whatever else is going on in the background, we don't live in like a haunted building or anything. It's just,
that's less exciting. I wish it was a haunted building instead of a kitchen.
Me too. Well, actually, no, not me at all. That's a lie. I'm glad it's not haunted.
It sounds more fun though, in theory.
Yeah, fun fact. Lisa won't be in the building on her own because she's too scared. But obviously before the lockdown, she would never leave. She would always leave with everyone else, but she was too scared. And I think that psyched everyone else out to believe it was haunted. Especially if you go into Leon's basement when he leaves his little basement, it's like there's definitely something weird going on down there.
Yeah, it's creepy down there. Oh, there we go. It's been very slow.
I think with Photopea, I think you're like reliant on your internet connection because obviously it's doing everything online.
Yeah.
So it's not even like your computer's processor or anything. It's how fast your internet is.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute my mic for a bit while they grind away at the walls.
Okay. Don't worry. Excuse me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so hopefully you've got something selected. You might have done it a bit quicker than me, or maybe you're a little bit behind. That's cool. Don't worry, take your time. You can always go back on the video if you feel like you need to go over things. Don't worry about it. So you should hopefully be able to see the kind of dotted line around the outside of your subject. That means that you've made a selection. And what we're going to do is we're going to press, oh, you can't see it down here actually. I'm just going to take this banner off quickly so that you can see what's going on. Okay, so we want to be using this right here, which is your mask button. So as soon as we click this, it's gonna mask out everything except the area that we've selected. There we go. So you should have some kind of a selection here. I'd say the most important bit right now is to make sure that you're happy with the kind of shape that you've got. So don't worry if it's a little bit choppy, like I said. That's totally fine. Just sort of be okay with the shape of the hair and stuff like that, because the difference between what's there and what isn't there is going to be highlighted quite a lot by the effect that we're going to add to it at some point very soon. So the shape is the most important thing. So don't worry if you've kind of, you know, you've got bits of the hair here that you don't think are super refined and things like that. Don't worry about it, it'll all add to the effect. So what we're going to do now is if you want to refine your selection a little bit, so I can see a little bit up here that I think is a little bit choppy. It doesn't matter too much, but I'm just going to go over it just in case somebody out there has done something where they think I would really like to fix this a little bit more. So I'm going to zoom right in. I'm just going to put those banners back on as well. There we go. And I'm going to get to that bit there. Ooh, do that. So for
This
those
is
who
just saying that you can, supposedly you can use Photopea offline if you load the page and then disconnect from the internet. I'm not going to say it right now because I think the stream might
yeah,
it. But yeah,
good to know if anyone's having any lag issues the same as me.
Yeah, you can down. I think there's a download page on it now as well.
That's cool.
But I don't actually know. I don't know if it just downloads the little app onto your computer that then still connects to the internet.
Okay.
Obviously, I know you can make an account as well. But I'll have a little look at that now.
Yeah.
About the offline use.
Good to know.
We've got a bit of time.
Okay, so the way that masks work, if you don't already know about masks, is you should be able to see this little thumbnail, and that kind of gives you an idea of what it's all about. So everything that's white you can still see. Everything that's black is masked out. So think of it like a stencil. If you put a piece of, I don't know, black paper over the top so that you can't see it anymore. So you can paint on your mask with black and that'll get rid of more bits. So I'll show you how that works in action. And you can pretty much use any tool you want as long as you are, you know, affecting whether something's black or white. I'm just going to use the paintbrush. So I'm going to go for a 100% hard brush and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to make sure that my foreground colour is black. Okay. And make sure that you've clicked on the mask thumbnail. So there should be some little dots around the mask. So that's what it looks like if you're on the image itself. That's what it looks like if you're on the mask. So make sure you're on the mask, otherwise you'll just be painting black onto your image, which you don't want. So I'm just going to start painting, and as you can see, I'm just clicking and dragging, and that's getting rid of bits of my image. And the beauty of masks is that it's not gone forever. So if I want to bring a little bit back, I can make my foreground colour white, click OK, and bring it back a little bit. So I don't know if you can see that. So if I do that, that might be a little bit more obvious. And that should bring your image back. So if you make a mistake, it's easy to fix. So I'm just going to change that back. to black.
You have to say one of Lisa's favourite phrases is a non-destructive edit.
Yes.
That's what you get to call it. Love out like a non-destructive edit.
Non-destructive
It's like
edit.
the
That's the one.
staple of using photo like imaging software, isn't it?
Yep.
So instead of just using your eraser and just rubbing it out, you're hiding it and then unhiding it.
Yeah.
As you see fit.
So I'm gonna use the normal lasso as well, just quickly, because I want it to feel really choppy and there should be less control with the normal lasso, like almost like I've cut it out with scissors. So
it's like the John Wayne lasso. That's what the icon looks like, right?
Yeah.
The cowboy lasso.
That's the one. There you go. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fill that with black. So that works the same way. Like I was saying, it's just any way that you can to make something black will get rid of it on your layer. So I'm just gonna, so if you haven't got your paint bucket tool on already, just right click. It probably looked like the gradient tool at first, but just right click on it and choose the paint bucket. And then we're just gonna click and it gets rid of everything in there. And then I'm gonna press Control and D to deselect. There we go. Okay, so that'll do for me anyway, but that was just a little bit to show you kind of.
The police are here. Sting and the boys are outside. No, I think it's the front door.
Yeah, I think so.
Is this the Lisa Monday roast? Yes. Every day is the roast Lisa day. That was a good thing anyway. Love seeing non-destructive edits. What do you mean? Right, hang on, the dog's going ballistic.
It's all happening. Okay, so hopefully you should be happy with the shape that you've got and your mask. Take some time to edit it. And once you're happy, we're going to duplicate this layer so that we can go back to this point if we want to. And I'm going to do Control and J, which should duplicate my layer. And this time we are going to apply that mask. So I'm just going to right click on the mask and apply it. And that means that the mask's disappeared and that selection's been made. So we don't have a background anymore. It's not just hidden. So it is gone. But we can always go back. So that's why we made that copy. So I'm going to switch that off for now. That's just our kind of safety copy. Okay, so now we're going to start making this look more like, you know, a piece of pop art. So we're going to go up to filter and we're going to go to filter gallery. And we're not going to choose glowing edges because it's awful. But we are going to click the little arrow that's next to it. And we should get a little drop down menu and we're going to go to halftone. So this is where it starts to look, you know, a bit like it's been printed for a newspaper or something like that. And don't be afraid to change the settings here, but in general, definitely don't be scared to put the size up a bit, otherwise you won't really get that effect and the contrast pretty high. So don't be scared. If you really want to amp up that contrast, you go for it. But I'm gonna stick to about there, I think. So that still leaves us with some detail, but we've got that sort of, you know, those half-tone screen dots. And make sure that your pattern is on dot. So we don't want, okay, are you ready for this? We don't want circle and we don't want line. They're pretty cool effects, so you might want to use those in another project, but we're not going to get that same effect, so make sure that you're on dot. And the size, I would say you probably want it on 2 or maybe 3. I'll show you what it's like on 3. But I'm going to stick with 2, just for a little bit more detail. And when you're happy with that, click OK. But don't be afraid to move the settings and kind of choose what you think looks good. And we're going to go OK. So already we're starting to get that effect. But we're going to sharpen this up a little bit. So we're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, Smart Sharpen, And I'm going to leave the radius on 1, but I'm going to put the amount all the way up to 200. And I think on Photoshop it gives you a higher percentage allowance, so I'm going to do this twice just to get it really, really sharp. Excuse me.
What's that on? What does it give you there?
200.
No, but is that on the sharpen?
Smart sharpen.
Ah, smart sharpen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, because these effects they stack, don't they? So
yeah,
like
they stack.
if you do a sharpen, you can then sharpen it again by the same amount, and that's essentially doubling it.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to
Okay.
go filter, sharpen, smart sharpen, and I'm going to do it again. So we want that like really, really crisp. So hopefully you can see the difference there. But if you can't, that's what it was like before. So a little bit soft, but we want it like really harsh. So that's what that extra sharpen does. Okay, so hopefully you've got something like that on your canvas. Let's have a little look. So plenty of dots, and it should all be either black or white. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start colouring. So you can kind of do this any way that you feel comfortable. If you really like using the paintbrush tool, that's totally fine. If you feel more comfortable using the polygon, that's also fine. Just kind of experiment and have fun with it. There's a lot of those Andy Warhol portraits that are really choppy and really messy, you know, coloured in with a paintbrush. Other ones are really flat. It's up to you. Just have fun with it. And don't be afraid to try some wild colours as well. So I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to drop that underneath layer 1, which I'm going to rename to halftone. And I'm going to change the blending mode of the halftone to multiply. And you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to make a selection around her hair. So like I said, you could do this with the paintbrush if you want, but I'm just going to do it with the lasso. And I'm going to keep this nice and choppy, because I quite like it when it looks like it's just being cut out or pasted on and looks really DIY. But if you want it a little bit sharper than this, that's totally fine. I also think it's quite cool when you come outside of the edges a little bit. It looks like almost like a printer mistake, but those things kind of make it look a little bit more real. But if you want to keep it really sharp, that's totally fine. So here we go.
Gives it that like slightly more psychedelic look, doesn't it? When you've
Yeah.
When you've like, it looks like it's sort of cut out or like a slight mistake.
Yeah, I think it just looks a little bit more traditional, a little bit more, you know, like you've just cobbled together a poster, and yeah, like really DIY. So go, come on, there we go. And just like when we were cutting out in the first place, we can always refine this a little bit later if we want to, so don't stress. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my paint bucket tool, and I'm going to choose a foreground colour for her hair. And so we could choose a normal colour if we wanted to, but I'm going to go for something a little bit wilder, I think. I'm going to go for like a darkish blue purple. And then I'm just going to click once, make sure that you're on your new layer, and there we go. So because we've got multiply on our halftone, it means that the black stays black, but anything white will allow colour to come through from layers below. So that's a good start. But I'm going to add another layer. So I would keep all of your colours separate on different layers as well. Just so that you can go back and change them whenever you want to, or you can, if you realise you don't like the colour a little bit later, you can change that, or you can change the shape. It's up to you. So I'm going to add like a whole background colour. I'm going to go for like a sort of cyan colour. And I'm going to add another layer. So if you're more organised than me, you could name all of your layers. So you could name them either what colour they are or what part of like the image that you're colouring in. So, but I'm going to do it by colour. And I think I'm going to go...
So I have sent you the link. I don't know if, because she's asking for the link again for the resources. A chat might not have been working before, so I've sent her it as a message on Facebook as well. So yeah, just have a look out for
that. So next I'm just going to select all of this. So because we're working with layers as well, you know, so she's got like a dress or something on, and I'll probably colour in her lips as well. But because I can put those on a layer higher up, don't worry about, you know, not sort of removing those from your selection. So there we go. I'm just going to do the skin this time. So I'm going to go for like that kind of colour, whatever that is. And there we go.
You're good asking me.
Like I was saying, don't be afraid to choose colours that aren't exactly normal. Sometimes it kind of adds to the effect to have, you know, really bright colours. And okay, so I'm going to add another layer. This time I think I'm going to just use the brush on her lips. So let's choose like a sort of reddy pink colour thing. And I'm going to make that a bit bigger. So I'm literally just drawing that on now. So if you wanted to, you could be like extra punk and give her like smudged lipstick and stuff, and you know, crazy makeup and things. So
I was gonna say like the spray paint one that you can do as well, where like the cross people's eyes out and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We might do that in a bit. So I think I might give her some eyeshadow. And I'm gonna do this with the lasso, I think. Whoa. So I chose the normal lasso on purpose so that it looks extra rough and choppy. I think we're going to get it this time. So if you want to select more than one thing, just make sure that you're on this setting of the lasso. So I'm going to do like her other eye now. Ooh, there we go. So that's made sure that both of them get selected, not just say like when you've done one it gets rid of the other one kind of thing. So make sure that you've got that setting on there. And okay, so I've got a new layer and I'm going to fill that in with, I'm going to go for like a lime green. Feel free to do this less wild if you like. That is intense. So maybe I've decided...
Looks like an alien now.
Yeah. So maybe I've decided I'm not super sure about that eyeshadow. So I want to change the colour. So what I can do is I can double click on my layer and I'll get the layer styles option come up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to colour overlay, and this gives me the option to change what colour it is, but preserve the other colour in case I'm like, nah, I want to see which one looks better. But because it's only going to affect the things that are on that layer, so I'm going to change that to.
This is where it's really important, isn't it, to like separate out your layers so that, say, things like the eyeshadow is on its own layer and you haven't like painted it directly onto her face.
Yeah, that's why I said to keep all of the colours or the different parts separate, so that you do have that option to change them later on if you do want to. So I kind of still wanted to have like a green colour, but maybe just not that level of green.
She's starting to look very Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy at the moment.
Okay,
Which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. But... let's make it a little bit more yellow. Okay, let's go for that.
We should have done a Star Wars themed image today.
I know.
We've dropped the ball.
Well, believe it or not, I thought about that this morning, and I do have an image of Princess Leia downloaded.
Okay, there you go.
So I might do that next.
Yeah, why not? Carrie Fisher, rip in peace.
Yes, definitely. One with the Force is with me. And all of that.
All of that nonsense.
So, if you want to have a look at that effect, you just click on that little arrow on your layer where it says F for effects, and you can, just like normal layers, you can use the eye to switch them on and off. And I'm gonna put the effect back on. And one last one for me, I'm gonna sort her dress out. I'm gonna use the polygon. And I wish I'd zoomed out a bit more. And the other side. There we go.
So is the picture of Princess Leia with the two like buns on the side of her head?
Of course.
Oh, okay,
iconic. Good. Shall I drop it into the resources?
Yeah, or if you send me, I can probably do it.
That's okay, I've got the thing open, I think.
I'll make sure it's gone in there actually right there.
Hang on. Hopefully that's done it. Let me know if that's...
Yeah, I can see it. It's just dark. It's just popped up.
Cool. And then... there we go. So, there we go. We've got kind of something I'm almost happy with. So there's little bits that I think maybe I want to refine that a little bit. So I'm kind of not 100% happy with that hair shape. So I'm gonna put a mask on and gonna make sure my foreground color is black. And then I'm gonna use the brush tool and I'm just gonna brush out that little bit of her hair there where I think it's a little bit messy. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Kind of don't like the shape, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And there we go. But that is, again, another reason why it's good to keep everything on separate layers so that you can change that shape if you want to. or if you want to add to it, you can do that as well. Okay. So I'm going to rename all of my layers so I don't get lost. Okay, so that'll kind of do for now. But you are welcome, of course, to change all of the colours and try different things. So, but if you're kind of thinking like, I'm not really sure where to go with this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer on top of everything, and I'm going to do a command on my keyboard, so a shortcut, and I'm going to press Control, Shift, Alt, and E at the same time.
All the keys. This
Yep.
is the whole keyboard.
Yeah, it feels
So
like
is
the
that
whole keyboard.
Control? I'll
Alt,
put that
Control,
in the chat. So Control,
Shift, Alt, and E.
Shift, Alt, and E.
So what that should do is that should merge all of your layers and paste it on that top one. But you should still have all the others underneath. So can you see on that thumbnail that you should have like a flattened image of what is visible underneath it? Have you got that? I don't know if you're doing the same thing.
I'm actually not following. I'm just watching the video, so you have to give us a couple of seconds to see what's going on. So just to explain, just pretend I'm a simple-minded man, and that has made a copy of all the layers and merged them into one.
Yeah.
But you've also got your original layers still underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it basically it's like a paste merge visible thing.
So that will paste a merged copy. I'll put all of your layers.
But it's what's visible. So if you've got one that's switched off, it won't show that one. But it's a good way to see where you're up to at that point if you want to sort of have a flattened one but still preserve all of those layers if you need to.
So why have you done that then, Ella?
I will show you. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to go to Hue and Saturation. And I'm going to move the hue slider around a bit. And this will change all of the colours together.
Yeah. But because you've put this onto one layer, it's only affecting that when you've done it.
Only this layer. And it just gives you a good idea of, you know, some other colour choices. So you might find one that you like better. But that'll be sort of split sort of at the same points in the colour wheel, if you know what I mean, as to the ones that you've put on before. So that's why I try to choose colours that were not all the same, so that we get different effects when we move that hue slider around. And you might think, yeah, that's the one. That's the colour. So.
And correct us if I'm wrong, but you sometimes see where people do like the multiple different versions side by side. So you might have like a panel of say 4, and you might have the top. Each one has different settings on your hue and saturation.
Yeah, and
which can look really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So if you've ever seen the ones of Marilyn and stuff, there's
they're often
in a grid of like different ones. So you can do that yourself as well with this effect. I'm not going to do it right now, but okay, maybe I am. Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to go okay on that one, and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to do Control J. And then we're going to do that again, Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, and then move it to a different place.
I'm just going to mute my mic a second.
Sure. And let's do another one. So we want 4, Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation. And one more, Control J, Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation. It's kind of where it was before. Okay.
I'm back.
Hello.
I was just checking out if the stream drops out a little bit, guys. Let us know.
Yeah.
I just got a warning message from YouTube. That's all. But I checked a couple of things. It seems all right, to be honest.
Okay, I'm gonna add some guides on here. So I'm gonna go view, add guides. I've also never done this on Photopea, so let's hope it works okay. So I'm gonna go.
Mode enable.
So we're gonna go 50% on horizontal, and then view, add guides. I don't know if you can do this at the same time, but
I don't know.
I don't know. So I'm just, oh, it's got rid of that other one, so maybe it does. Okay. Hang on. Oh no, hang on.
What is if you can do 50% on them both and then okay?
Yeah.
Possibly.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so I'm going to select all of those layers by pressing Shift. And then, so that first one was, I'll do that again. So that top one was selected, and then I press Shift and then select the bottom one. And I think I'm just going to switch all of my other layers off. So I'm going slightly off paste here. This was not planned.
This is my fault. Sorry, I had to open my big mouth.
It's gonna look really good. I thought, okay, Control T. No wait, it's a different.
Control Shift and T. I think. Or edit and transform.
Yeah, let's find out.
Be safe.
Edit.
Oh, hang on. There's a bald man behind me. I think it's a ghost. Oh no, it's not. It's the ghost of T. Thanks.
Is that it?
The bald man is left.
Oh, there. Alt Control and T.
Man.
And
Alt Control T. So that's how. So normally in Photoshop that would be Control T. Yeah. As I'm sure Daniel said it about 100 times, it's Alt and Control and T.
Yeah. And make sure you press Shift when you're scaling that, but you want it to just scale so that it fits into one corner like that. And then we're going to press the tick.
Burn my hand on the T, or instantly.
Oh no.
Good start.
So what that will have done is, you can only see one of them right now, but if you look on your thumbnails, that's resized them all to the same size. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move one at a time. I'm going to use the Move tool and see if this works. So I'm going to press Shift at the same time and it should just move like that. And then we're going to choose another one. Oop. Cool. And one more.
So this bit's really good because like you did the bulk of the work on one, and then all you're doing is adding that hue and saturation adjustment on the other three. But it looks like you've put an absolute mountain of detail into them, and really that probably one of the easier bits is just adjusting those colours right at the end.
And it's just a lot quicker to do that with that that super crazy all the keys shortcut.
So Control Shift Alt and E to paste a merged copy of all of your visible layers. Hopefully that's an app description because that's what I've put on the video.
That's perfect. Okay.
We'll see. And
I'm going to clear those guides, and that is what we're left with. So that's pretty cool. That was a good suggestion from you.
Every now and then I have a good idea. It's just the few and far between, that's all.
So there we go. That looks even better than what I had planned, which was just one of them. So
you're welcome. You're welcome.
So there we go. And you should still have all of your layers that you can, so if you did want to switch all of them off and try some new colours and stuff, you can do that just by switching them all back on. So it's not gone forever. Voila. Okay, I think we're done on that one. Do you think I should do that Princess Leia one?
Yeah, I mean we've got time.
Sure. So I'm gonna save this one. file, save as PSD.
That'll be 2 minutes.
Okie doke. So it's just gone straight to my downloads, I think there. Just make sure you save a PSD so you can come back and edit it later if you want to. But we're also going to do export as, and I'm going to do a JPEG. And it'll give you a little preview of what it might look like at the quality that you've selected. That seems fine to me. So then I'm just going to go save. And there we go. And we should have that JPEG saved to our downloads now. Okay, so because it is Star Wars Day, may the 4th be with you, let's try that again on that image of Princess Leia that I've just dropped into the resources. So if you haven't got that already, it should be in the same folder. So you just need to click on the link. So I'm going to do File and Open, and it should be in my downloads. Okay, cool. So we should have an image of Princess Leia. So this is kind of more what it would be like if you don't have an image already prepared for this process. So I'm gonna crop this and I'm gonna desaturate it just so that it's ready to go. So
sorry, are we on to the Princess Leia one now?
Yep. So I'm just gonna make sure that this is more suitable for the pop art process. So
Gary's saying since it's May the 4th too, it's only right. Yeah. We need to do something themed, definitely.
Definitely. So I'm just gonna draw a box around the kind of area.
When you desaturate it, why do we do that, Ella?
It just puts it in black and white already.
Yeah.
To be fair, I haven't tried halftone while it's still coloured.
I think
if you put it in black and white, it kind of gives you a bit of an idea of where it's going to go already.
Yeah.
And you can change.
Plus, it gives it more that look, doesn't it? Where like it's like the almost like old-fashioned screen print colours, like that you get when it's over the top. It looks a little bit better if it's from black and white, isn't it?
Yeah. And you've kind of got more of an option to edit your levels and stuff as well. It just gives you a better idea of where it's going to end up if you can see it in grayscale. So I'm just going to crop that a bit better. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. Okay.
Not quite.
Very finicky. There we go.
So if anyone's feeling brave on May the 4th, you can do more than one. So Ella set up that grid where it was 4 like different pictures. You can maybe pick 4 different Star Wars characters.
That would be amazing.
And make them. It might take you a little bit of time. That's the only problem. But,
definitely somebody please do that. That would be amazing. We'll definitely share it if you do it.
Yeah. I do have some work to share later on Staying Connected. I haven't said it. Daniel's doing it today. With our special guest who is in the chat, I believe. But we've got some work to show off today. So, and we'll probably have some throughout the week, I think. Definitely next week as well. So keep sending us stuff in, guys. Anything you create in the sessions, hide up on Facebook with the hashtag We Are Media Savvy. Or if you don't want to share it directly through your account, send it to us and we can stick it on the Staying Connected or the start of like the these sessions as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if you didn't see that there, I've just desaturated that. I did that with the shortcut. I used Control, Shift, and U, or you can go Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to do Control J, and I'm going to zoom in. And I'm gonna cut her out. So I'm gonna use the polygon.
I can't get out my head now.
Can we have Duel of the Fates, please?
Oh God, not yet. That's the one for later.
Okay.
I need to get like the choir singing. I need to get my throat warmed up.
one.
That's what I'll do. Instead of singing, we was trying to get us to sing. I'll do like, I don't even know how you would describe it.
Cool.
I was going to say a cappella, but it's not quite.
You need to do like a barbershop quartet version.
Oh god, can you imagine just the full sound, the full Star Wars soundtrack, music by John Williams.
Imagine the Cantina theme.
Oh god,
that would be amazing.
I can't believe you brought the Cantina theme up. That is rude, because now that's just going to be in my head.
I know, it's in my head now.
All day.
Yep.
And it's like the same bit. It's about 10 seconds worth of music, but that's it.
It's amazing.
They just put the new Star Wars film on Disney Plus. Shame the film was awful. Yeah, I was just thinking, Gary, I don't know about you, but not a fan.
The originals is
pay
where
like 15 quid to go watch it in the pictures as well. Oh, definitely. Right, hang on, because I can see the stream is buffering a little bit on the dashboard. I'm just going to double check. Sometimes it's just my internet on this particular laptop, so wait there. I will mute my mic so nothing comes through.
Okay. Very tense. I feel like I can't do anything until I know whether it's okay or not.
We're fine.
Okay, good. Okay, so I've kind of a bit slightly lazily cut that out, but I'm going to add that mask and I can refine it a little bit. So I'm going to switch off that background layer. So it's a little bit choppy. So I'm going to bring a little bit back in with my brush tool. So I'm going to change that to white. Make sure that you're on your mask. And I'm just going to round off those iconic bun shapes a little bit better.
The like a Cinnabon.
Yeah. Never even thought. You know.
Like a cinnamon swirl thing.
Yeah.
Just get two of them and like elastic band and just round your head, and then there you go. There's your Halloween costume sorted. Or your cosplay, as they might call it.
I feel like I wish I'd been more prepared. I should have put my hair in two buns, in cinnamon buns.
I used to have, it wouldn't fit now, but I used to have a Darth Vader mask when I was a kid, and it made the breathing sound as well.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It was one of those things though where you get it and it breaks after about like the second time you wear it. Like it was one of them you couldn't replace the batteries on. So like once the batteries ran out, that was it.
That's the worst.
Worst 3 hours ever. It made no sense, poor end. They were getting the movie reviews now, and I couldn't agree more with them, to be honest. But Gary's saying The Mandalorian's very good. If anyone's not watched that yet,
I haven't.
Very, very good.
I haven't watched it, but
it's nothing like the films in any way. It's like a very gritty and well-made TV show.
Oh, sounds good.
Very enjoyable.
What did you think of Rogue One?
One of my favourite ones of the entire franchise.
Yeah. It did feel different, I think.
It was good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
Like I say, out of all the ones they've made, that Disney have made, I thought it was the best one.
Yeah.
By an absolute country mile.
Okay, how about new ones or prequels? So sequels.
That's like choosing between having your arm chopped off or your leg chopped off. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's not a choice I want to make.
Yeah.
None of them.
New ones are better than prequels.
I sort of treat them as I treat the Terminator movies after the second one. They don't exist. As far as I'm concerned, in my brain, they're not even real. So, yeah.
I mean, Revenge of the Sith was okay.
No, it wasn't. Don't lie.
Well, compared to the Phantom Menace.
Well, yeah, but like, Ella, don't do this. Don't do this, please.
Okay.
I haven't got any time for them. I'm sorry.
I don't
Just
really.
no
If
time.
I had to choose one to watch, then that one.
Yeah,
But
probably.
it was all CGI and
Yeah, it was just a
labor,
nightmare.
like just lightsaber battles all the time.
Vroom vroom every 2 seconds, and
Yeah.
then
And then
some lava and that.
yeah, I was just
Duel of
gonna
the
say.
Fates was good. The soundtrack, the music was class.
Yeah. Well,
The
loads
music,
of the
very
costumes
good.
and stuff were great,
The
but
rest of it, yeah.
it's just yeah. Originals always.
Definitely.
Okay, so that's slightly better than it was. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. Okay. So I'm gonna duplicate that, Control J, switch that other one off, apply, and we're gonna go to filter, filter gallery, not glowing edges, halftone.
Taking it just defaults to glowing edges for some reason.
Yeah, of all
Okay.
of the things. Okay,
Just bear
size.
that in mind, guys, when you're doing it, because it's quite annoying.
Okay. So comes a little bit of kind of guesswork on where you want the contrast, because remember we will sharpen it up, but Leia's robe is quite pale, so we need to make sure that we have got enough detail so that she still looks like her, if you know what I mean. So if we've got it like this, I mean, yeah, those cinnamon buns are still there, but not much else. So I'm gonna go about there, I think. Okay. And then filter, sharpen, smart sharpen, and then I'm going to put that all the way up to 200, and then I'm going to do that again. I'm going to stack those filters, sharpen, smart sharpen, all the way up to 200, and okay, so that's pretty decent. We can work with that. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that halftone is on multiply, change that layer to, and what colour should we go for? It's got to be like a Jedi blue, I think.
Yeah.
Like an R2 Jedi blue type thing.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
And then I'm going to make... to be fair, there's not that much to colour on Leia, I don't think. Not as much as on Eddie, so... I'm going to zoom up a bit. And... okay, I'm going to select her skin. Here we go.
So with these as well, I take it you could make the background, because obviously you masked it out, haven't you? So you can make the background whatever you want as well.
Yeah. Easy peasy. If you want to, I don't know, if you've got like some cool texture or something that you want to put in the background, you could definitely add those.
Yeah. I've seen, because when I had a look on Google before, when I was talking about like the grid ones, some of them had done them with like a brick background, or like another wall texture, or they'd done a bunch instead of it just being plain, which was cool. But obviously it'll depend on your image as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So like who's in it and what the context is.
Yeah. So
I've seen a few of there was like someone did a Lady Gaga one, and it was like it was sort of like she was coming out of a poster, so it was like a gig poster, sort of one of our like concert posters.
That's cool.
Which was quite cool.
Or you could always sort of, I don't know, you could even do like a your own half-tone background. You could get a load of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't know, if you're doing a Star Wars one, you could get a load of planets and stuff
Mm.
and space and things and put them all on that if you
Like
wanted
just
to.
the Death Star blown up or something like
Yeah,
that. just
yeah.
half tone it.
You know, the
Sorted.
sort of the way that the posters are done where it's just like a big mash of different characters in different sizes and then
Yeah.
backgrounds and
Heads.
spaceships and things.
Just loads of heads.
Yeah. So you could do that.
Yeah. That'll be cool.
And then half tone them all and they might look like one sort of cohesive thing because they've all got like one kind of style then. So...
And somewhere you can add the text that says "scruffy looking nerf herder" as well.
Yeah, perfect.
It's like the ultimate like diss.
Yep.
Like get dissed, Han Solo, you scruffy looking nerf herder.
Yep. But then there's the I know thing, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Rude.
Very.
I know. Harrison Ford, man, lady killer.
Plays the same.
Disagree?
Plays the same role in every
himself,
film.
Isn't he? Yeah,
he's just
gruff,
Han Solo all the time.
Gruff outsider. That's about it.
Yeah.
Except like in Indiana Jones, he's also a genius archaeologist / adventurer.
Oops.
/ combat expert somehow.
Yeah. So you can kind of barely see a hair colour there.
It's looking better though. Like even just the white on it stands out a bit more now.
Yeah.
It changed the colour of her face.
Yeah. So that's maybe partly down to your half-tone choices, if you know what I mean. So
yeah.
Say if I was to do that again. So if I'm going to duplicate. So you remember we kept that little safety layer with the mask on? I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to put it at the top of the stack. And I'm going to apply that. And I'm going to see what happens if I change the settings on that halftone filter a little bit. So I'm going to go filter gallery. Not hideous glowing edges, halftone. So I'm going to put that size to 2. Yeah. So I might keep the contrast super low and then see what happens when I sharpen it. But this is all just experimentation. So if you're finding that you're not liking the effects, just try something else. That's why we keep all of the other layers, just so that we can go back if we want to. So I'm going to go like that. Filter, smart, sharpen 200%, and then I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to put that on, multiply. See, it doesn't, I mean, we get a little bit more, but it just doesn't look as punchy to me. So...
Yeah, it's all going to be to eye though, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, totally depends on your image. The other thing that we can do... so say if you are having this problem and everything's too dark, what you could do is... So I'm going to duplicate that one again. And apply that. Bring that to the top. So what we could do instead is we could change the levels on that. Image adjustment, levels, and see if we can sort of bring some of those other bits out. So I'm going to try and push that contrast a little bit. And you can just do this by eye. So if I'm trying to bring out more hair, it might mean I lose other bits. I'm going to go OK on that. I'm going to do a curves as well. Image, adjustment, curves. and this one gives you quite a lot of control over the blacks, whites, and greys in your image. So I'm gonna try. I'd say like an S shape is kind of where you want to be going with curves in general, but you do have quite a lot of control over things with your curves. So
Ella, can you just quickly recap on that curves bit? Because I think your audio dropped out for like 5 or so seconds.
okay, so curves give you quite a lot of control over your blacks, whites, and greys. I'd say generally an S shape is what you kind of want to be aiming for, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot by eye. So you can kind of see what happens as I
Yeah.
move the things. But remember that this isn't what your image is going to look like as well, because you are going to add that half tone. This is just about choosing which bits are going to stay there when you've added that half tone, if you know what I mean. So let's try something like that and see if we get a slightly better result. I'm going to do filter gallery. We're still no better off really. Although it's kind of debatable. It just depends what you really want to bring in with your image.
Yeah, so like which parts you want to highlight really?
Yeah. So it might take a little bit of experimenting to get what you want, but that's okay. Smart sharpen again. So let's compare. So there's that one or that one. They're kind of the same, really. Really similar.
I've just got my mic on mute because it sounds like there's a giant like blue bottle next door. It's just someone is hammering away with something. So I'll, if you need us, give a shout.
Sure. But I think there is a slight difference in what bits are coming through. So your levels and your curves will change what your halftone looks like a little bit. So yeah, I think we've pretty much covered most things on that. But just as another recap, let's have a look at changing the hue on those. So let's make a new layer, and to paste all of your visible layers merged into one, you do Control, Shift, Alt, and E, and it should appear right on the top. And so you can go to Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation, and you can move that hue slider wherever you like. So not much is going to change on this one because, well, it's not going to be as sort of a strong change because that white's never going to change because it's always going to be white. You can't really change the hue of white. So it's just going to be the other parts. And so you can kind of see what's happening, but because her face is quite pale anyway, we're not going to get like a super, she's never going to be like bright green or anything. So here we go. So we had a blue one, let's have like that.
I think these are the ones I've seen sometimes people do like that spray paint effect as well, con them with like a brush, and they'll put like a crown on them or like some mad stuff over the top, and that's like a really like you need the right brush for that installed, basically, don't you?
Yeah. So let's have a look at that before we do this.
2 seconds, Ella, because I'm seeing no data coming through on YouTube. So wait there.
Okay.
I just want to quickly check if the stream's gone off. That's all. Oh no, it's fine. It says good.
Okay. It's good enough.
It should be all right.
I did have a thing come up just there saying connection unstable.
I think that's all that happened. I think your internet might have just dropped out for a second. I think you should be all right.
Okay. So let's have a little look and see what we can do with things a la spray paint. I'm guessing that the brushes aren't great in Photopea, but we'll have a little look, see what we've got here. What's that? Sketching, pencil, details, round noisy marker.
Oh, what noise does it make? Ah!
We'll find out. Okay, I'm gonna have. Let's go for. I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller. So if you wanted to, you could do something like this. You know, have it like extra graffiti style. Or you could have like a crown. Something like that. And you can, I'm pretty sure you could add your own brushes and stuff like that into Photopea. So let's have a look.
Yeah, but that's the style I was on about anyway. With that, it's like sometimes, like I say, it's like a little crown. It's like the little cross up under the eye. Sometimes they do like the tears, but like in a spray paint fashion. I like the Bowie lightning bolt and stuff.
Yeah.
There's loads of mad stuff like that.
Yeah, so you can have a lot of fun with it. Let's try. I'm gonna add some text. That's very good. In fact, I think this will be better. And let's have a look at what fonts we've got. It would be really cool if there was some kind of space type font. Let's see what we've got.
Yeah, it's does Photopea only use web fonts? I'm not actually sure.
You can add your own if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you just need the like the font file like you would add it to Photoshop?
Yeah. So you can just go on to load font. So it says that you can load a font file from your computer, basically.
That's cool.
So if you have got a Star Wars font, it's easy to find them. You can add those yourself. But I'm gonna stick with
Rebel Scum, nice.
So you could add Scruffy Nerf Herder to your other characters if you like.
Maybe that can be a Han Solo one.
Yeah. So I don't know. What did he call Chewie? Did he call him a carpet or something like that at some point? Like
I can't remember.
That sort of thing anyway. So yeah, short for a stormtrooper and all of that. So you can you can choose. But that looks pretty cool to me.
No, it is cool.
But if you wanted to do that thing where you have a few of them, so I'm gonna duplicate that again. Image adjustments, hue, saturation. I'm gonna change that hue.
Apparently, Star Wars typeface was based on Helvetica.
Ah, okay.
There you go. Linda is just saying about Star Wars mashups on YouTube. Let's have a look. I'll have a look at that. Where do you change that setting there?
I'm just adding those guides on so that we get them the exact right size. So I went to view, and I'll go through that again. View, add guides, and then I'm gonna make sure that that's on %, and then put 50 there and 50 there, and then okay. So I'm gonna select all of those new flattened layers by pressing Shift and clicking either from the top to the bottom or the other way around. So I'll do that again. So I'm on that top one, press Shift, click on that bottom one, and then we're going to go to Edit Free Transform, or the shortcut is Alt Control and T. I keep forgetting. So I'm going to resize those. Remember to press Shift, and they should fit into that bottom there. So then I'm just gonna move those with the move tool. If it lets. I don't know where that is. Whatever. Make sure you've got your layers switched on, unlike me. And
would help.
Yeah, if you're wondering where it's gone, it's probably not switched on. And again, it would help if it was switched on. There we go. Just make sure that they fit together.
So you could even do like a cool wanted poster, like from the Empire's perspective or something like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
That would, just with you having like the Rebel Scum thing on it, that would be cool.
I'm gonna make a copy of that Rebel Scum text layer with Control and J, and I'm gonna put that right at the top. I was gonna have it in the middle, but I'm going to make another one, and I'm going to put that further down too. And I'm going to switch those layers off. View, clear guides. It's looking pretty cool. But I'm sure you guys can do something better than I can. So definitely feel free to share your work with us using the hashtag #WeAreMediaSavvy, as always, and we would love to see your May the 4th special Star Wars edits. That would be awesome. But yeah, so I think we've pretty much covered everything on those pop art portraits. Have there been any questions in the chat or anything like that?
No, not technical ones, no. So I think everyone's either following along or is going to follow along later on. Like I said, I think Sue before was having a bit of an issue with like a playback.
Right.
So if that's the case and anyone's not quite caught up, the video will be going straight up on the channel. Like when the live stream finishes, it'll start updating straight away. We're going to make a playlist for the digital imaging sessions.
Yep.
So you'll be able to go back through and follow them at your own pace, pause the video, do each step, that sort of thing. So if you do get stuck, the comments on those videos will be open as well. So if you comment on this particular video, for the bit you're struggling on, we can try and give you a hand with that. Equally, obviously, you've got our emails, and if you haven't already, I will drop them in the chat now. If I can spell, that is. I will make sure that if you send us an email with what you're struggling with, or if you struggled with something and then you tune into the next live stream, give us a shout on there, and we should be able to help you do a little recap on there as well.
Yep.
So no, we haven't had any particular questions
Okay.
for now.
Well, we'll see if there are any more. But for now, I think we'll just save these and we'll maybe move on to sort of general image editing next. I think that's cool. Okay, so we're going to save these as a PSD just to make sure that we've got all of our layers. And also I'm going to save it as a JPEG. So you go to File, Export As, and then JPEG, and it gives you a little preview, and I'm just going to click Save. Okay, cool. Okay, so the next things that I'm going to show you are sort of pretty universal image editing sort of tips and tricks. You could probably use this on any image, I would say. Maybe if you find one that it doesn't work on, let me know. That's cool. But I would say generally these are going to make an image just feel a little bit nicer. So this works especially well on images that you've maybe photos that you've taken with your smartphone and stuff like that. Sometimes they just feel a little bit flat, and so hopefully these kind of techniques might help you to just sort of improve them just a little bit, and it shouldn't take too long, and they're pretty universal. So here we go. So if we go to File and then Open, and if you go back into your resources, we're going to take that selfie. This is literally just a random selfie that I found. So if you've got your own, feel free to
just Google selfie and we're like there.
I found it on Wikimedia Commons, so I thought, well,
okay.
these people have at least decided to upload their own selfies, so they're obviously fine for me to use them. So so I just did that. So I found a selfie of this lady, and I would guess this will have been taken with her phone. So we're gonna make it just a little bit sort of more crisp and sort of improve the colours a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of our background image, so the image as it is. So I'm going to do Control and J to duplicate it. And next thing that we are going to do is we are going to go to Filter and then Blur and then Gaussian Blur. And you might be thinking, why are we making this blurry in the first place? Well, hopefully you'll see, and it's got a lot to do with blending modes. So we're going to change the radius to 5, and then we're going to go OK. And we're going to change the opacity to 50%. And then we're going to change this blending mode from normal to soft light. So as you can see, we're already starting to kind of push the colours a little bit in this image. So if I just switch that on and off. So you might be thinking, well, all we've done is kind of make it a bit darker and a bit blurrier, but hopefully the next thing's going to fix it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to make a new layer, and we're going to use the command that we just learned on the pop-art portrait of pasting all of our visible layers. So that is Control, Shift, Alt and E, and there we go. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to desaturate this image, and so you can either do that through Image Adjustments and desaturate, or you can press Control, Shift and U on your keyboard. And there we go. And we're going to change that opacity to 50% again. And we're going to change the blending mode to overlay. And you're probably still freaking out right now thinking, why have we done all this? Well, hopefully this should explain it. We're going to go to filter, then other, then high pass. And this kind of takes a little bit of sort of just working it by eye, kind of choosing what sort of radius to go for. Usually I find between about 5 and 11 is enough, so definitely not 101 that's jumped to. There we go. So, and what this should do is this will resharpen up your image. So, like I was saying, this is a really good technique to use for if you are if you've taken pictures with your phone and you just want to sort of enhance them a bit. Why does it keep jumping to 101?
Just wants to be real high.
I'm going to put that on like 7 and see if that helps. See if that actually does anything. Okay, let's go with 7 because I'm scared to move it in case it goes to 101 again. So 7 is fine. Let's go. Okay. So let's make a new layer again, and we're going to do Control, Shift, Alt, and A, and we're going to paste that visible again. Okay, so if you switch off your other 2 layers in the middle, so you've just got your new layer and your background layer on, you can switch between them and you can see what the difference is. So there we go. So you might not be thinking that is a huge difference, but on some images this will make a massive difference. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So on the other one it just feels washed out and a little bit sort of soft, but this one sort of enforces those colours and just brings it out a little bit, brings out the bits that are sharper and the bits that are already darker, and just kind of is a general enhancer. So we could leave that there, but what we're going to do next is we're going to add a few more things that will hopefully continue to bring out this image. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an adjustment layer. I'm going to do a photo filter layer, and the default here is like a warming one, and it goes to 80%. We only want it on like maybe 10. But you can move the slider yourself and see where you want it. And you can, if you want to see what it was like before, you can just switch the eye on and off. It doesn't need to be a lot to make a difference. This works particularly well on photos that have been taken outdoors. Adding a bit of warmth just generally sort of makes the image feel a little bit brighter, a little bit sunnier. Or if you maybe taken photos of, say, products or something like that, you know, a lot of the time when you're taking pictures on your phone, they can feel very cold and the lighting's not great. So adding a little bit of warmth can really help. And the next thing that we're going to do, and obviously this is only relevant for people, but we're going to make the eyes a little bit brighter. The eyes are the focal point of the image, and we don't want to overdo this, but it can make a big difference. This usually makes more of a difference if your subject's eyes are pale, but it should still do a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to zoom right in, use the polygonal lasso or whatever selection tool you prefer, and we want to select just the irises of the eyes, so not the whites and not just the pupils. So we want to get those, and make sure that you're on this setting again of your lasso tool, so that you can select both eyes in one go.
So is this making them brighter?
Yeah, it's going to make them brighter and a little bit more saturated. But be really careful with that, because I'll show you what can happen if you're not careful.
I suppose this is how you can do if you were doing a horror image. This is where you can make it look
That's true.
spooky.
Yes,
depending on what you're after.
Yeah, definitely. But we just want to do it really subtle. So I'm just gonna make sure I've got that. There you go. Oops. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna go back to new adjustment layer, and then we're gonna go to hue and saturation. So zoom out a little bit so we can see. So I'm gonna make them slightly more saturated, just a little bit, because a little bit will make a big difference. I'll show you what happens if you go all the way. You probably don't want to do that. So just be careful that you don't make everybody into demons or strange creatures. Unless that's what you're going for, of course. But just a little bit is fine. And because we'd selected just the eyes, there's a mask already on that hue and saturation layer, you can probably see. And we've still got those eyes selected, so we're going to add another one, and it should affect just those again. So we're going to go to brightness and contrast, and we're going to put the brightness up just a little bit. Okay, so you can switch those off to see what they were like before, if you want to. And I'm just going to deselect. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. Photo P. There we go. Control and D for deselect. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And it doesn't look that strong, but it will make a difference to your overall image. But if you feel like the effect's not quite strong enough, you can always click back into your adjustment layer anyway. And if I double click on that, it'll bring out that menu again, and it'll remember the settings, so you can add a little bit more. So I'm going to make them just a little bit more saturated. Double click on that brightness and just a little bit brighter.
I'd probably err on the side of smaller adjustments on these anyway, because what you don't want is like Alice says, like demon eyes or like a massively orange image, because you've put like the warming filter on like 80% or 90%. You'll notice like the tiny little adjustments sort of bring out things like eyes, and like even like if you took a photo and the sunlight was on for like the sunlight was like beaming down, you might find it's a bit overexposed to doing something like a brightness and contrast.
Yeah.
You might only have to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
So go canny, go steady with it. Don't just crank them right up straight away. Do little increments, like 10% at a time. See what you think.
Definitely. So a lot of these will seem really subtle, but they will make a difference overall.
Might have lost Ella's audio.
Reconnecting.
Okay.
Oh, it said reconnection successful.
Okay, is it still streaming as well?
Yeah, I think because the thing says stop streaming.
It's come back.
Is it back?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we're back on.
Okay.
We're back on. Sorry about that, guys. Just dropped out a little bit there.
Yeah, apologies. Okay. So I don't know if you're up to the same point as me, but you should have just made a new layer.
I think the last thing that came through, that the only thing that got cut off, when it started lagging, was the Control Alt Shift and E thing.
Oh, okay.
I think that's when it went off.
All right. Well, we're up to there anyway.
I believe so.
Okay. So again, if you want to see what difference you've made, you can switch off your layers underneath that one, and you can switch that off, and you can see what's happening between the two. So yes, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do something that you might have seen on sort of newer smartphones. It's a bit like the portrait mode effect where the background gets automatically blurred. So we're going to do that, and this will highlight the subject and kind of put the focus on them. So this is good for people, objects, all sorts of stuff. But again, just don't go crazy with it, otherwise it won't look that real. So we're going to select the background of our subject. So don't worry if it's not super neat, and if you err on the side of getting some of your subject into that background as well, we are going to mask it out anyway and make it like a softer edge. So here we go. So if you just select around like this, so remember we're selecting the background. So go all the way around the outside of your image like this. And you should have something like that. We're going to press Ctrl and C for copy, make a new layer, and Ctrl V for paste. And hopefully you should end up with your background on that layer there. Okay, so then we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And you can kind of just do this by eye, but I'm going to drop it down a little bit. But your image might warrant a little bit more than that. Let's hope it doesn't end up on like 101 again. There we go. And I think maybe... Whoa.
Okay, are we alright? You good?
Yep. It's just ended up on 200 again.
Okay. I was just listening on the speakers just to see what the audio was like, but it's a bit choppy at times, but we're all right. I think we're back. We're back.
Okay.
Good style. Good times.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but I'm now in the Death Star.
Oh my god. I want to be in the Death Star.
It's cold. It's cold in the Death Star. Sort of, I don't think Darth's been paying the heating bill.
Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Right, I think my photopea is lagging.
Oops.
And it keeps insisting that I put it on like 100, so I'm just gonna go with that, which is better than it was. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a mask to that, and we're gonna make sure that all of the bits of our subject aren't blurry, and we're gonna do that using the brush tool. So I'm gonna put it on a little bit bigger than, and I'm gonna make it like sort of about 70% hard. And I'm just gonna start, make sure that your colours, your foreground colours on black as well. I'm just gonna start. Oh. Everything okay?
Hang fire for a second, Ella.
Okay.
Hang fire. We're nearly there. Right, we're back. When it drops to no data, everything you say I think gets like cut off a little bit. So we can just quickly recap that step you just did.
Yeah. I'm just looking at all the things and it doesn't seem, there's no problems here. It just, everything's on green.
It's on the dashboard, like YouTube's dashboard that I'm on. It's just saying it's not receiving enough video, which all that means is that the connection drops out, but it's like up and down. So just we're nearly finished, so just carry on. We'll
Okay.
get there. Don't worry.
So if you missed that, just add a mask to your background that you've cut out. So that your foreground colour is black. Change your brush, and I'm going to make it a little bit softer again. So I'm going to go for like 50% hardness, and we're going to just paint back in the areas of our subject that have gone blurry, just to make sure that she is in focus. And you can take your time with this, and you might want to use a fully soft brush for some of this, just for that sort of, so it doesn't look really odd in parts. So I'm going to make that a bit bigger. If you don't know the keyboard shortcut for this, you know where the square brackets are underneath your plus and minus? The bracket, the closed bracket.
Probably be next to your enter key.
The one next to the enter key.
There'll be your enter key, then there'll be the two brackets.
Makes your brush a little bit bigger, and the other one makes it smaller. So like that. There we go. So just making sure that her hair still looks sharp. This background isn't too bad because it is quite sort of similar colours and stuff anyway, but you might have to be more careful if you've got a background where it's a bit busier and stuff, so just pay attention to what's around. And it doesn't matter if you don't get everything or things like that. The most important bit is that the image looks real and believable, if you know what I mean. So there we go. So if you don't notice any errors, if you don't notice anything weird, that's good enough. So there's a few more stray hairs over there that could be a bit sharper, so I'm going to brush those in. And that looks better than it was. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done with that one, but as one final check, we'll do Control Shift Alt and A one last time. Switch all of your other middle layers off, and you can compare with what it looked like at the start. So hopefully you think that that's an improvement. This image was quite a nice one to start with, and this makes a much bigger difference on images that aren't as high quality in the first place, or if they've got a background that is quite contrasting to the subject. So I put in two other images into the folder, so we're going to have a look at those and see what differences this technique makes to those. So if we go to File and then Open, and I'm going to go for this one. So if you open up the image of that lady dancing, and again, this isn't too bad of an image, but I think we can make it better. So we're going to duplicate the background, then we're going to go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. We're going to put that radius to 5 pixels. Okay.
Not 200 like it wants to be.
No, definitely not. Then we're going to change the blending mode to soft light. Opacity 50%. New layer. And then we're going to do Control, Shift, Alt, and E. then we're going to do image, adjustments, desaturate. I'm going to put that on 50% opacity and then change that to overlay. And we're going to go filter, other, high pass. And I'm going to zoom in a bit if I can, if Photopea will let me.
Aye, that's it. Like, if it'll let you.
Everything's crashing, so I'm just going to not do that. Oh wow, 101
Typical
again.
fashion.
And I'm going to put that radius just as a guess to 11. So, and the main thing that we want to get sharper is her. So you can see on her top, that's a lot sharper now. And then okay. And her eyes are closed, so we don't need to adjust her eyes. And I think this image is quite warm anyway, so we don't need that so much. But I am going to blur the background, so I'm going to make a new layer. Control Shift Alt and E. And I'm going to do this quickly with the regular lasso. So don't worry if you get some of your subject in or whatever. That's fine. There we go. And then because I've just selected her, I'm going to do a right click and inverse. So now we've got the background. Control C, new layer, Control V, and we should get the background then. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to drop that down a little bit. I'm going to go for like 2.7. I'm going to zoom in, put that mask on, and I'm going to just start refining that edge. So I'm going to make that brush smaller. Make sure that your foreground color is black, and start bringing the bits that you want to be sharp back into that image. And remember, this is a non-destructive edit, so we can go back and change things if we miss bits or if we get too much background or whatever. And nearly there. Okay. So new layer, Control Shift Alt and E, and we can see the difference. There we go. Okay, so last one. I'm gonna go File and then Open, and this is the one of this super cool classic car. Now, this one, we're gonna not blur the entire background because, like, this part here should still be in focus. But we are going to get rid of all of this other stuff in the background so that we really emphasize the car itself, not all of these random caravans and jeeps and stuff.
So it's like a shallow, well, like a depth of field, right?
Yeah, that's right. So
you're focusing on one part of the image, not the background.
Yeah.
You could do the reverse as well, right? Like in a different image.
Yeah, you could.
You could focus on the background and not what was in the foreground, sort of thing.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
So
Wave's just asking what time we're finishing today. Is this
12:30.
the last image from the resources? I can't remember.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So this is the last one.
Oh, okay, 12:30. Cool. No worries.
Okay. So Control J, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Put it on 5. Okay. Change the blending mode to soft light and change the opacity to 50%. Make a new layer. Control Shift Alt and E. Paste all of your visible layers. Desaturate. Image. Adjustments. Desaturate. Then we're going to change that to overlay. Filter, other, high pass, and then you can kind of use your eye to judge where you want to put that high pass radius. So the higher that you put it, it's gonna sort of amp up the contrast more.
And we've dropped off a little bit again. We'll try and get this one done, and then we'll probably have to wrap up there because I'm conscious that the video is gonna be constantly interrupted. It's back now, by the way. So you just done the high pass bit.
Yeah. So just use your eye, and because we've got something like a car, sometimes these can, you can push that high pass a little bit more than you can with like a person if you really want to, emphasize how shiny it is or stuff like that. So just do it by eye though. But I'm gonna go for about there, I think. Okay. And you can play with the opacity as well if you want to. But I am gonna stick with that. Okay. New layer. Control Shift Alt and E. Then we're going to add a new adjustment layer. Let's have a bit of a warming filter on this one. Photo filter. I'm going to take that density down to about 20%. Okay. And then we're going to make a new layer. Control Shift Alt and E. And we're going to select the background, and by the background we just want kind of the trees and the grass and stuff like that, so it's kind of around this bit of the car. So let's get started. So I'm gonna select the bits more or less that I do want. And we can always invert the selection. I'm going to go for about there, I think. On 4p. You can do it. Not long to go now.
You can do it.
Okay, right click. Inverse, so we want that background. Control C, new layer, Control V to paste. So we should have that background now on its own layer. And we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and you should see that the background is starting to blur a bit. Up to you how much you want to blur it. I'm gonna go for about there, I think. Okay.
It looks better already, just based on the low quality stream that I'm watching, because I'm watching it on a slightly lower quality. But yeah, it looks a lot better already.
Yeah. Images like this are where this technique really kind of shines, when it's, quite a
Yeah.
bad image, basically, if you know what I mean. Like, or if it's framed
Mm.
well, there's just loads of rubbish everywhere that you don't want, or there's something in it that is worth bringing out, basically.
Yeah. You want to highlight a particular area of it, obviously the
Yeah.
car. The
So,
car.
yeah. So I'm gonna add that mask, and we're gonna just make sure that it is nice and sharp around the car. So I'm gonna have a slightly harder brush than last time. And here we go. Wrong way. Okay. Don't do this to me. Okay. Go. Just make sure that the outside of the car is nice and sharp. Otherwise you'll lose the effect a little bit. So you might want to have a bit of a harder brush. And just do it gradually.
Lisa was saying she thought that was you belly dancing for a minute on the other picture. When she clicked back onto the YouTube screen and thought you'd picked up like a new hobby, been learning to dance.
Lockdown hobby.
Just like giving it all the hips don't lie in the Shakira.
No, it's not me. I just found it. Don't know.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe next week.
Maybe Daniel can learn it.
Yeah. Maybe we need to do like a mashup of all of the things and have like a split 4 ways half-tone image, like pop art of us all belly dancing. I think that's the one.
Oh, and then we've dropped out on data again. Just as soon as we mentioned belly dancing, the stream was like, nah.
Yeah, we need to do a...
Right, we're back.
I think we need to do a pop art portrait of the 4 of us all doing
some kind of weird dance.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Don't know about that one, like.
Yep, that's what next week's tutorial is. Okay, so
belly dancing 101.
Okay, so that looks a lot better than it did already. So new layer, Control Shift Alt and E, and this is the bit where you can kind of alter your image further if you want to. So you might want to add, I don't know, like a curves or something like that, and change the image a little bit more. Like I was saying before, an S shape is usually pretty good. So yeah. One last time, new layer, Control Shift Alt and E, and let's switch all of the other ones off in the middle and see what we started with. So that is a lot better, really, isn't it? So it's quite a big difference compared to the image that we started with. So yeah, I think we're about done on that one. So yeah, there's a lot of scope that you can sort of have with this sort of technique. So it works on any kind of image, really. Some things it probably won't make that much of a difference to if you've got quite a good image in the first place. But if you've started off with something that you really want to highlight that's on a busy background, this technique works really well for that. Especially good for your sort of smartphone photography and things like that, where sometimes the quality is just not as good, or sometimes they look a bit washed out and things. So it's a good start anyway, so that you can continue to edit after that and yeah, just end up with something slightly nicer. So I think that's it for this week. Especially since my
Stream's trying to do its best to put you off this week, I think.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's been.
yeah. It could have been better, perhaps.
Yeah, so sorry about that, guys, but it's just, I mean, you know how it is. Ella's at home, which is just relying on our home internet, which is good, but obviously with your home Wi-Fi, it drops in and out every now and then. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we've managed to cover it all anyway. I mean, we've done quite a bit today. I will post the link to the survey in the chat.
Yes.
So Inroad Digital Image episode 1, 4th of the 5th. Yeah, that's the one. So if you guys could quickly blast through that, make sure you've got your email on there because we will need you to fill in a short enrollment form. It is super short. It takes about like a couple of minutes in it to fill it in.
Maximum, yeah.
And you can sign it like online, so you don't have to print anything off. You don't have to scan anything.
Yep.
You just literally do a little doodle digitally on the bottom. I think you can do it on your phone, can't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's dead easy. So yeah, if you can fill that in, put your email address on there. We'll get in touch with you via that. If not, Facebook message one of us, or the actual Media Savvy page, or send us an email. Our emails are in the chat as well.
Yep.
Them in a little bit earlier. You can still see them on the screen now. So yeah, if you could give us a shout for that. And is there anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, and if you've got any work or you created anything today, or you do in the meantime, if you're watching this video back, again, share it. Hashtag We Are Media Savvy. Let us know via email or message. No, cheers, we appreciate that, mate. Yeah, so have a go if you haven't already. If you've just been watching along today, have a go at actually doing that. Watch the video back, pause it, do each of the steps.
Yep.
Get in touch if you're struggling at all. And obviously remember to just like the videos, and that'll appear in your like videos. You can come back to it at a later date. If you subscribe to the channel as well, you should get a notification, and you can set a reminder for when the stream's on. So this one's going to be on. Is it Mondays 10 o'clock?
Yes.
For how many weeks?
3, maybe.
3. Okay, so you got 3 that we know of.
I can't remember. I think it's 3.
There's also there's a bunch of other stuff we're doing anyway. But yeah, be Monday morning, 10 o'clock for at least the next week and the week after.
Yeah.
Cool. And obviously we've got all the other stuff going on as well, so we've got to stay connected this afternoon. So stay tuned on things like Facebook and Twitter for when it's going out. Like I say, subscribe to the channel, and that'll you'll get it'll come up when you go onto YouTube. A little box will come up saying Media Savvy's going live in so many hours or so many days or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So if you can fill in the survey, we'll get in touch
please.
about the enrollment form. That'll be great. Cool. Sound. I think that's everything covered.
I think
best
so.
go before the stream lags out to death, because it's been threatening to do it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okey-doke, guys. Right. Everyone take care. Have a good rest of your day. Hopefully see you for staying connected later on. I think it's going to be Daniel and Gary this afternoon. Mark, the survey is here. I'll paste the link in for you. Give me a second. Right. Okay, guys. We're going to take off. Have a good rest of your day. Like I say, hopefully see you this afternoon for staying connected. Thanks for coming.
Yes. See you then. Bye.
I think we